Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Rex Roberts. I'm the UX design lead at Luxion, and it is my absolute pleasure to present to you everything you need to know about Luxion's powerful new product, KeyShot Viewer. As always, a recording of the webinar will be available at youtube.com/keyshot3d, probably early next week. Today we have Will and Josh monitoring questions in the questions panel, so feel free to ask away at any time during the webinar. If you're watching this as a recording on the YouTube page, don't be shy to ask questions in the comments as we monitor those regularly as well. The computer I'm presenting on today is an older dual 12-core Intel Xeon, making for a total of 48 virtual cores. But as indicated by the tablet in the image here, KeyShot Viewer does not require a powerful machine to run on. So KeyShot Viewer has been available as of April 5th, along with the release of the KeyShot 7.3 update. With that said, we'd love to get an idea of how many of you have already downloaded and tried out KeyShot Viewer for yourself. So if you have, please let us know in the questions panel. So KeyShot 7.3 is a free update to anyone running KeyShot 7 and can be found at keyshot.com/downloads or downloaded and installed directly from within KeyShot 7 via the help menu by clicking on check for updates. And it should give you a notification if you do have that update available. If you're still running KeyShot 6 or earlier, contact sales@luxion.com to learn about upgrade options so you can take full advantage of all of KeyShot Viewer's capabilities that I'm going to be touching on today. To download KeyShot Viewer, simply visit keyshot.com/viewer, click the button here, and fill in your information. You'll be sent an email with the download links for both Mac and Windows. And once your download has completed, run the installer and follow the prompts. Pretty simple. So I'm just gonna launch the installer here. So I start from fresh. And it's a pretty lightweight installer, just about 58 megs, so nice and quick to run. And we'll just launch right into it there. So now that we have KeyShot Viewer installed, let's talk a little bit about what it is and how to use it. First of all, KeyShot Viewer is completely free, and this is one of the most exciting things about it. It does not require any type of license to run. You don't need a regular version of KeyShot installed to run it, so anybody can literally download, install, and open up KeyShot Viewer. It's a standalone desktop application that can open any KeyShot package file for interactive viewing, presentation, and also configuration if the scene has been set up with it. This configuration setup is done in the Configurator wizard in KeyShot Pro, which I'll get into in a bit. When first launching KeyShot Viewer, you'll see the watch and ring demo scene on the splash screen. So you can explore a couple examples that include configuration so you can see what's possible. You can also find another demo scene at keyshot.com/downloads. Click on the scenes link here, and it is this brush and shave configurator. And this includes a few more options such as a prop geometry, so this kind of granite countertop you see here, also some custom UI colors, and a few more options that are not included in the watch and the ring demo scene that you see there. So to open a KeyShot package file, you can click the Open File button, obviously, or just drag and drop a KSP onto the splash screen. and it'll unpack the contents into a temp folder, and you're launched directly into full screen presentation mode. So again, just to be clear, KeyShot Viewer opens KeyShot package files only. It will not open a BIP file, so you'll need to make sure to save your scenes out as a KSP in order to open those up in KeyShot Viewer. If your scene has not been set up to include configurations like you see here, you'll just see this toolbar and no other UI components. So yes, the configurations are not required in order to open up a scene in KeyShot Viewer. You simply won't be presented with these UI options. All of the UI and interaction is touch enabled. So this means KeyShot Viewer can be used on tablets and touchscreen displays, in addition to traditional laptop and desktop computers. In order to use KeyShot Viewer on an iPad, you'll have to use a remote desktop application such as Microsoft RD, and this will just log you into a physical machine running KeyShot Viewer. So it is possible to run on an iPad, but you will be logging into a different machine. So as you can see, KeyShot Viewer uses the same CPU-powered real-time ray tracing render engine as KeyShot to produce the amazing photorealistic visuals that you all know and love. After 256 samples has been reached, you'll see this message at the top of the screen indicating that the rendering has completed, and this is just to pause the load on your machine's CPU until you interact with the scene again. With the Configurator wizard in KeyShot 7 Pro, you have the ability to include variations for models, materials, and studios like you see here. Just click or tap on any of these variations to make them active in the real-time view. And this functionality is the essence of KeyShot Viewer. Being able to select and explore different variations makes it a powerful new tool for your organization to use to make design decisions and for visual validation. You can send the scene to a product manager or a company executive to get buy-off, to a distributor or a manufacturer to accurately communicate CMF for production, or even to a customer to make purchasing decisions without having to spend time rendering a single image. The bottom line is we're super excited about the potential impact this product has to your process, and we cannot wait to see how you use it. All right, so now that you have a general idea of what KeyShot Viewer is and how it can be used, let's jump into KeyShot Pro and set up a scene to output for KeyShot Viewer. All right, so let's imagine I've designed these 3 water kettle variations, and I want to share them with my team via KeyShot Viewer in a variety of colors or materials to decide which ones should go into production. I've already set up the scene, as you can see, with the basic materials. And if we go to our materials list here, we can see these are all linked between the 3 models to keep things nice and tidy. If we go to the environment tab, you can see I have a studio environment as well as an interior. And I also have a few different cameras I've saved in the scene. So the first thing I'll do is create some studios so that I can include those as variations in presentation mode or KeyShot Viewer. And I've created a workspace just for that process. So I can have the relevant panels here side by side. And so to do this, I will simply select the camera I want, the environment, create a new studio. So we'll call this Studio Hero. Do the same for the interior. And then do this for the orthographic view. All right, now that I've done that, I'll switch back to my personal workspace and open up the Configurator wizard. So the Configurator wizard can be found on the ribbon here. If we show the text, you can see the button indicating that. If you're not seeing it, then you may need to right-click and just make sure that the Configurator wizard is enabled there. So we'll open it up and just get started on creating our configurations. So in this case, we want to present model and material variations. So we'll select that option, go next. All three of these models are in the same model set, the default model set. So we'll select geometry from the scene, and we'll just go through and create a parent model for each of these. And then if we want, we can just enter the preview mode so we can toggle through those and make sure that looks correct. Okay. In this particular example, we don't have any components or accessories, so we can just skip over these two steps. And now we'll add some material variations. So the material variations, you may be familiar with this as in the form of the multi-material, which is essentially the manual way of adding material variations, but we can also do this through the configurator wizard. And to do so, just click on the material in the real-time view that you want to create variations for. So I'll click on this body, change the name of it to body here, and then we can just drag and drop save materials from the library into this panel. So I already have the blue, I'll just drop these in, and then we can see the different variations we have. We can toggle through those to preview. And then I'm going to do the same for the metal accents. Let's see, paint. So this should be body. Click on the chrome here, and then I'll find some other metal materials I want to assign. So maybe a brass. A copper, and a nickel. And we'll call this metal accents. All right. And you can go through and preview each of those to make sure that looks correct. The next step will be including the studios that we created. So you have an option to include all. We'll just do that. And now for the layout section. So this is a pretty important part. It's essential that you select the touch-friendly option in order to get the UI to display in KeyShot Viewer. So we'll make sure that touch-friendly option is enabled. And now it's all about kind of fine-tuning these interface options so that it looks nice and tidy when we go into presentation mode. So before I make any adjustments there, what I like to do is just jump right into presentation mode and see how things look. So in KeyShot 7.3, you'll see that progress bar. That's these material thumbnails being rendered. Keep in mind that in 7.2 and earlier, you'd have to manually click that render materials button in order for those to show. So in 7.3, that's now smart and done automatically. So now that we're in presentation mode, which is the representation of what you'll see in KeyShot Viewer, I just like to take note of a few things that I'd like to make adjustments of in the UI. Perhaps make an adjustment to the camera so my model isn't being clipped here. Maybe remove some of these tabs, make the thumbnails a little larger. So then we'll exit out of this, go back to the layout section of the configurator wizard, and then we can start making adjustments. So I think I want the interface size to be a little larger. So this is the percentage that that panel takes up of your display. And maybe the model icon size, want those to be a little larger. Perhaps the studio icon size smaller. And yeah, usually I'll just kind of go back and forth to see how that looks, and I can already see this is starting to look better here. And then I'm going to hide those single top level titles. And you have some options to include or exclude some various buttons there depending on what your final use case is going to be and what kind of options you want to present to the final end viewer. Okay. So that looks pretty good. I think the last thing I'll do is just make adjustments to the camera. So I can do that here by just making that adjustment to a position I like, toggling through the different model variations, make sure none of those are being clipped. And then I'll exit, go back to the camera tab. You can see that's in an unsaved state. So I'll just save that. Make sure the orthographic looks good as well. So that needs to come out a bit. Do the same thing. Go in and save it. So now we're looking good. Our UI looks nice and tidy. We have our different material options, our model options, and our studio options. So before we save this out for KeyShot Viewer, there's just a few more things to keep in mind. So one is related to cameras, whether you want the camera to be locked or unlocked. The state that you have selected in KeyShot is the same state that will be in KeyShot Viewer presented to the end user there. So perhaps for an orthographic camera, maybe you want that to be locked, or for certain situations with prop geometry, so you have the option to do that. The next thing to keep in mind is the resolution. So if KeyShot Viewer is going to be opened up on, say, a laptop or a desktop with different types of resolutions, you may want to make sure that your aspect is unlocked so that it always fills the whole screen. Or perhaps you have a standard resolution, like a square resolution that you want to present the model in, and you can do that. So when the resolution is locked, or the aspect is locked in KeyShot, it will also be respected in KeyShot Viewer. And the last little thing to keep in mind is something called adaptive performance mode, and that can be found in the camera menu. And what this does is when you're working with a heavy scene, when this is enabled, it'll automatically switch into performance mode to make that experience a little smoother. So if you are working with heavier scenes, probably a good idea to have that enabled so that the end user of KeyShot Viewer has a nice smooth experience when they're moving the camera. And then when they release, it'll go back to the full quality and it'll render, continue to render. All right, so now we're good to save this out. In KeyShot 7.3, we've added a new file menu option, and that is Save for KeyShot Viewer. So if we click that, you can see we have a few options here to require password protection. So maybe I'll add a password to this. And then we have two options below to show the KeyShot logo. That's that Powered by KeyShot logo that shows in the corner. You have the option to hide that, and you can also add watermarking to the image. So this will just be the KeyShot logo watermarked across the image to prevent any kind of misuse. If you're sharing this with someone and you don't want them taking screenshots and using those as renderings, you can add the watermarking there to protect from that. So we'll continue. And save our KSP. After doing so, you're presented with this window for the KeyShot Viewer invite. And this is just some helpful text that you can copy to your clipboard and email along with the file or whatever method you're going to be sharing the KSP with, just to include some helpful information of how that end user can then download KeyShot Viewer and use it for themselves. All right, so now let's jump into KeyShot Viewer and see what we have with this scene. Again, I'll just drag and drop onto the splash screen, enter the password that I created. It'll extract that to a temp folder. We're launched right into full screen presentation mode. And now we can go through and explore our different model options, our material options, and the different studios that we've set up. So then let's talk about the toolbar here and what these different icons mean exactly. This top one is auto hide. So when this is enabled in the blue state, as we have now, after you leave the mouse inactive for 10 seconds, then these UI panels are going to hide away, as you can see, and now we can get a full screen view of the model. And if we want to bring those UI panels back, just hover your mouse over that area, or if you're on a touch screen, just tap in the area to bring those panels back. These are your camera controls. So by default, we're in the tumble mode, and you can enable pan. So this can be helpful when you're on a touchscreen display or a laptop with a touchpad or a trackpad. So you have the options to use those if you don't have a mouse. Anytime you want to reset the camera, you can do so by clicking this button here, and that'll just reset the camera to the studio that you have active. Or if you don't have studios included in your scene, it'll just reset to whatever camera was active when the file was saved. The next button here is for screenshot. So we can save an image of what you see in the real-time view. Kettle 2, yellow. And that will only take a screenshot of the real-time view, and you won't see any of the UI panels included in there. Something else that's output with the screenshot is a metadata file. So I'm just going to launch this in EditPad. And yes, maybe a little daunting at first, but this allows you to see which options were active when that screenshot was taken. So we can see the body material is that paint gloss yellow. The metal accent is the chrome polished, and that's kettle 2. So if you need to reference which options were active when that screenshot was taken, you can do so in the metadata. And we're working on making this a little more reader friendly for KeyShot 8. And we have some more very exciting features and things in the works for KeyShot 8 as well regarding KeyShot Viewer. And the last button on the toolbar here is just to escape. So to exit the full screen mode, as you can see by that message that showed, it says to enter full screen mode in order to see the UI panels again. So yeah, when you're in this windowed format, you won't be seeing that touch-friendly UI panels. So just enter full screen mode, and then you get those panels back. And that's about it. So yeah, went through that pretty fast. If there's any questions, Josh, why don't you jump on in and shout them out?
All right, thanks, Rex. That was really good. I think a lot of our users are wondering about other ways to open a KeyShot file, what the development plans are, and a lot of the things that you guys have mentioned, like web viewers and being able to open without downloading. Those are all things that are being discussed. So if you have ideas on the KeyShot Viewer, definitely send them in, mention them in the forums. Tell us how you're using, how you would like to use it. This is the first version, so we want to hear from you guys and know what you would like to see. Let's see, as far as other questions, and you may have touched on this, Alan's wondering about creating watermarks. Can you create your own watermark?
You not exactly. So here, I'll actually go ahead and save out a version of this with the watermarks so you can see what that looks like. Okay. So yeah, you can see the KeyShot logo is just tiled across the screen there, and that's in front of the model. Of course, you can assign a backplate to your image with your own company logo if that's what you're looking for. But yes, that will be behind the model. In KeyShot 8, we're actually working on front plates. So the front plates in KeyShot 8 will allow you to put your own custom watermarks in front of the model. So you can expect us to implement that in the later version.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Breck is wondering about the size of KeyShot viewer files compared to default bit files. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so a KeyShot package file is inherently a bit smaller than a BIP file because it is a compressed format. So yes, it will be a little bit smaller than a BIP file, but actually keep in mind that when you save for KeyShot Viewer, it's the same KeyShot package file as you would save when saving a package file. The only difference is you get those options to add password protection, control the watermark, and the logo you see here.
Great, thank you. And we're getting a lot of good comments about features. Go ahead and add them into the questions there. We're definitely going to be taking those and looking through all of them. So go ahead and submit those in the questions as well. We have one from Zolt, I think. And I think this is more on the KeyShot side. Is it possible to reorganize materials once they are set?
Yes. Yeah, so if we jump back over to KeyShot and we go into the configurator wizard, here on the summary page, you can see there's some up and down arrows. So we can actually reorder the way the materials as well as the model options are displayed. So maybe we want this to be alphabetical, so we can then move our materials here in order to customize the order in which those are displayed. And I also saw a comment from Mark Costa. He said he's looking forward to a version where the UI elements can be scaled directly instead of the back and forth, and I completely agree. In KeyShot 8, you're able to make interactive adjustments to the layout and see the KeyShot Viewer, the full screen presentation mode. So you don't have to enter and exit. You can make all those adjustments and see that happening interactively as you're making those changes. So that is going to make things much easier to make those adjustments. Another thing that you're able to do in the layout section of the configurator wizard is modify the style sheet. So if you remember, the brush and shave configurator had some custom colors, and the way that is achieved is through the style sheet here. So this is using Qt, which maybe looks a bit complicated, but if you just read into it, it's actually quite simple. So you can see that this is the Q tab widget, the tab bar, and these are the specifications of those tabs, so we can make changes here to modify the width or the size of the font, the weight of the font, and also the text color here and the background color. So maybe we want our tabs to be a different color. I can just, for example, say I want that to be red. And then when we go into presentation mode, you can see that that tab is now red. So you have control of the highlight color, the background of the UI panels, the text color. So you can really customize this to, you know, be in line with your company's style guide, and then you can save out that style sheet. So just copy that text and save it to a text document. So you can share that with other people in your organization in order to keep that consistent throughout your team. When you do make changes to this in KeyShot, it will be saved for the next time you open it up. Anytime that you want to reset it, you can just click that reset button and it'll go back to the default values.
And for those who are wondering, probably noticed those the style sheet there. It's a lot like the CSS sheet. So if you're familiar with that or have a web guy at your company who knows that, they can put those values in pretty quick.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and we hope to make that a little more simple, a little more GUI, I guess. Not so much
Mm-hmm.
coding like, but we'll see. Maybe a future update.
Yep.
let's see.
I saw
And
Jeffrey was asking if you can have it screenshot the materials as well. The built-in screenshot function is based on the KeyShot screenshot, so it'll just take a snapshot of the real-time view. Of course, you can use your operating system screenshot capture method to include those materials if that's something you desire.
there are some asking about animation, if it's going to be on the Google Play Store or App Store, if it's going to be able to be used on an iPad. Again, like definitely send those in. We'd love to know the use cases behind those too and how it would actually help as well. And the more of those we get, the better. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll save out this questions document and make sure that we have these to reference and share them with the team to see what kind of features and functionality that you guys are looking for. I have ran some tests with, like I said, the Microsoft RD. That is an application available for the iPad, and that will allow you to log in to a physical machine that you have set up somewhere running KeyShot Viewer. So it is possible at the moment to run KeyShot Viewer on an iPad through a remote desktop application such as Microsoft RD. But yeah, we'd love to just hear the feedback, what would be best for you and your organization, and like Josh said, understanding those use cases, so how we can make this the best experience possible. Benny Lee is asking if Chrome Remote Desktop would work. I did try that, and the experience with moving the camera was not quite as fluid as Microsoft RD. So I would suggest sticking to Microsoft RD for now. But go ahead and give it a try. And if it works for you, that's great. If it doesn't, let us know and we can look in to see if that's an issue on our end or on the app's end.
and Jason says he's using this as a replacement of SolidWorks Composer. Wow, very cool. Thanks for the props, Jason.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
there's another question on can we set different backgrounds for different parent models? Again, I think in KeyShot you go back to, right?
Yeah, so the backgrounds are going to be included in the studios. So the backplates, yeah, will be saved with your studios here because those are included in the environment. But then let's see if we go take a look at the brush and shave configurator. Again, this is a demo scene that you can download on our website. I've set up this studio to include a prop geometry. So this is just a plane that's in the scene, and that plane is included as a model set in the studio so that when you make that studio active, you then see that prop geometry there. So maybe that's a way that you can achieve what you're looking for. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty flexible. The model variations are just different model sets. So if you have geometry or a background that's specific to that model set, then you can just include it in the model set there.
Thanks, Rex.
Mhm.
Barbara is asking about being able to embed via iframe. Embedding executables is, I don't know how that would be done, but KeyShot XR, if you've used those or seen those, those can be embedded via iframe, and you can interact with those as well. You're not going to have the configurator options, but that's something we're looking at too. So, but KeyShot XRs would be the route to go if you wanted to use an iframe for some interaction on a website.
Thanks for watching. To subscribe and get updates whenever we post new content, click the icon in the center of the screen. To view more quick tips and webinars, click the thumbnails below.